We're reading The Golden Touch, the story of Bacchus and King Midas. And it's just a printout. We actually did this in the 4th grade classroom. So I would like to put this on the whiteboard and have them either follow along or give them all their own printout as well. The Golden Touch, the story of Bacchus and King Midas. Bacchus, the merry god of the vine, said to King Midas, "To you, King Midas," he said, "and because you've been so hospitable to me, ask me for anything you wish, and I will grant it to you." "What an idea," said Midas. "Anything I wish?" "Indeed, anything," said Bacchus. "Anything?" Yes. "Ah, well," said the king, chuckling, "of course there's only one thing. I wish everything I touched turned to gold." Midas looked sideways at Bacchus, for he couldn't believe such a gift could really be his. "My friend, you already have all the gold you could possibly want," said Bacchus, looking disappointed. Let's stop there. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Who's Bacchus? Let's look back in our text. Who is Bacchus? Bacchus is the merry god of the vine. And then who is Midas? Midas is a king. Let's just think for a second. We know a king and a god, they're very powerful, very important. Who do we think might be a little more powerful? The king or the god of the vine? Yes, of course, the god of the vine. And how can we maybe tell through the text that he is more powerful? Well, because he's granting the king a wish. "Oh, no, I don't," said Midas. "One could never have enough gold." "Well, if that's what you wish for, I suppose I'll have to grant it," said Bacchus. Bacchus soon took his leave. As Midas waved goodbye to him, his hand brushed a hanging twig from a tree, and it turned to gold. The king screamed with joy and shouted after Bacchus, "My wish has come true. Thank you, thank you." The god turned and waved and disappeared down the road. Midas looked around excitedly. He leaned over and picked up a stone from the ground, and the stone turned into a golden nugget. He kicked the sand, and the sand turned into golden grains. We're going to stop again. What's happened? What took place here? Is Midas happy about his gift? What does he say? How do you know he's excited about his gift? What about Bacchus? How does Bacchus feel about King Midas's new gift? How do you know? What did he say? Let's circle it in the text. "I'm the richest man in the world." Then he rushed around his grounds, touching everything, and everything turned to gold. Ears of corns in the field, apples plucked from the trees, the pillars in his mansion. When the king's servants heard him shouting, they rushed to see what was happening. They found their king dancing wildly on his lawn, turning the grass into glittering blades of gold. Everyone laughed and clapped as Midas washed his hands in the fountain and the water turned into a gleaming spray. Finally, exhausted but overjoyed, King Midas called for his dinner. His servants placed a huge banquet meal before him and his lawn. "Oh, I'm so hungry," he said, and speared a piece of meat and brought it to his mouth. So let's stop there. If everything King Midas's touch turns to gold, what can we predict might happen next? What do we think? That's a good idea. Let's move on and find out. But suddenly, King Midas realized his wish may not have been as wonderful as he thought, for the moment he bit down on the meat, it turned to gold. That was a good idea you came up with there. Midas laughed uneasy and reached for a piece of bread, but as soon as his hand touched the bread, it also became hard, a golden nugget. Weak with dread, Midas reached for his goblet of water, but alas, as his lips touched the cold hard metal, the water turned to gold. Midas might be regretting his choice. Yeah, I think so too. Covering his head and moaning, King Midas realized his great wish was going to kill him. He was going to starve to death and die of thirst. "Bacchus," he cried, throwing his hands up in the air, "I've been a greedy fool. Take away your gift. Free me of my golden touch. Help me, Bacchus." Do you think Bacchus is going to come and help him? We'll have to find out. The sobbing king fell off his chair to his knees. He beat his fists against the ground, turning even a little anthill to gold. His servants grieved for him, but none dared to get near him, for they feared he might accidentally turn them into gold too. As everyone wailed with sorrow, Bacchus suddenly appeared on the palace lawn. The merry god stood before the sobbing king for the moment, then said, "Rise, Midas." So we do know Bacchus might come and help him. He seems to be very sorry and sad that he was being so greedy, right? As we do know, we look up in the text, it says, "I've been a greedy fool. Take away your gift. Free me of my golden touch." So we're almost done here. Stumbling to his feet, King Midas begged Bacchus to forgive him and take away the curse of golden touch. "You are greedy and foolish, my friend," said Bacchus, "but I will forgive you. Now go wash yourself in the Pactolus River that runs by the Sardis, and you will be cleansed of this desire to have more gold than anyone else." King Midas did as Bacchus said. He washed in the Pactolus, leaving behind streams of gold in the river's sand. Then he turned home and happily ate his dinner. That's the story, The Golden Touch. And the last question I'm going to ask is, what's the moral? What was the lesson that we learned from the story? I want you to turn and talk at your tables and find some text evidence of what was the moral of this story. When you're finished, I want you to turn your paper over and I'm going to come and collect it.